Welcome to Rom Wills Money Matters. Ultimately, you want to be financially free. Ultimately, you know what? Whatever it takes for financial freedom, just the power, not even being, last episode talked about a billionaire, being a millionaire and all that. But at the end of the day, you want to be financially free. What does it mean to be financially free? You don't have any debt. Like, I knew this guy, may he rest his peace, Big Steve. He's actually the person I got that whole my bad thing from. He was telling me about a situation, he hanging out with his boy and stuff. And, they go back to the dude's house, where the dude living with a woman, somebody else doing the dude's woman. And the dude looked back and said, my bad. So Big Steve, rest in peace. But I remember he worked at this newsstand in downtown D.C. And everybody called it Steve's. He wasn't the owner. He was just a worker there. But everybody called it Steve's place because you had professionals and everybody would talk to him. But financially, he was actually free. He was actually free financially because he was living in a house, a paid-for house. He didn't have a car. And at the time, in 1990s money, he was making about $1,500 a week. He had money like crazy. He also gave advice. He said, Ron, look, read the Financial Times or Wall Street Journal. Don't read this other stuff. Pay attention to the economics. So he gave a lot of game for free. He gave a lot of game for free. So, but he was financially free. He was financially free. And that's where you want to go. Now, it don't necessarily mean you can be a millionaire, but you don't want to be paying debt. Like right now, I'm not financially free. There's still some debt I had to pay, especially after being, when I had the stroke back in October. I'm still paying medical bills. Insurance only covers so much, so I'm still paying some bills and everything. And, that's okay. That's okay. It got some other stuff. But you want to work to the point where you don't owe other people. You want to work down all your debt. It could be student loans. Like, that's a big thing for these young people, which I'm going to be honest. Let me just make a political statement. That's a political thing because if you get rid of a lot of people's student loans, they're going to remember who did it. That's a political move. Just remember that. All right. So, but here's the thing, though. That hurts a lot of people. You get a lot of people who graduate college and everything and, graduate college higher level and they got student loans to pay, which can really slow down stuff, which money is going to the student loan company, but not to the rest of the economy. So they're not financially free, but they can get to that point. Or some people, you get a lot of people living off of credit cards. They're not financially free because they got to pay those bills. They got to pay those bills. Now, if they don't, they could either have collection or if they say, well, I'm going to be bankrupt, then that can hurt them. That can hurt them. You got a lot of places, all they looking at is your credit. So that's very important. So, but you want to work, like get your bills down. Like one of the things, like, okay, like say you're paying off your credit cards. And I suggested this before. First one, pay off the one that's lowest. Pay that off. Like first budget money to pay them all. You got to pay them all every month. Pay off the one that's lowest. Then go for the next one. Then you can take the money that you were using, misspoke. Using on the lowest one. Once you pay that off, take that money and go to the next one. Go to the next one. And then so on and so on. And all of a sudden your bills are paid off. I've done it before. Shoot, 10 years ago, trust me, my credit was jacked up to the point I actually got rejected for an apartment I was trying to move into. I actually got rejected for credit. So, but I fixed that to the point, let's just say before the medical thing, shoot, 800. 800. So it can be done. It can be done. But that's where you want to be because when you're financially free, you don't have major debt or any debt, then you can, not only you having great credit, but then you can also use that money. Like you can save that money or you can invest that money into income producing assets, IPAs, basically for business. Because if you look at business, the biggest issue is having seed money. That's a major issue. That's a major issue, increasingly becoming a political issue. But seed money. But if you got $20,000 in savings, you can probably start a business without having to go to an investor or anything like that. And let me just say something about that. Right? You know, the investor is one thing, because personally, and I need to do a whole video on this. In fact, I'm gonna do it next week. I'm gonna do a video on this. But let me just say real quick, a lot of businesses they end up losing out to investors. For money and stuff. I would say if you can start a business without an investor, that's actually better. Or having to get loans or anything like that. It's possible. I've known some businesses that got to a higher level and they didn't have to go to a bank or get an investor. It's very possible. And I'll talk about that next week. But you want to be in that position. And it can be financially free. It's all in how you manage your money. Are you spending money on like these expensive clothes? You getting them full price, not even getting them from an outlet or some like late model car? Or are you like getting a basic car, getting basic clothes, basic car, and then saving the rest of your money? Maybe moving not in a poor neighborhood, but maybe a modest neighborhood where you don't have to spend as much. What are you doing? Because you got to think, because that's how a lot of people are getting in trouble now. That's how you got a growing homeless population. If they had money to actually live in a home, trust me, they would do it. They would do it, So you don't want to be in that position. And if you have any vices that's draining money, or you have any wealth reducing liabilities, then you need to say, okay, do I really need this? Like, let me use wealth reducing liabilities. It's like why many in the middle class stay middle class. They don't move up to rich or wealthy, because they'll buy that fancy car. That's a wealth reducing liability as soon as you take it off the lot. Or they'll buy a boat, or they'll get some improvement on their house, which they really didn't need, because they call themselves keeping up with the Joneses. It's so many things, but it's reducing their wealth. Instead, the smart thing is, look, live modestly. You don't have to buy like that real expensive couch or anything. Make sure your bills are taken care of first. Then when you are financially free, you can pay cash for that like expensive couch. You can pay cash for that car. When I got my car, first of all, it was a used car. I would advise the best cars to get, let me just go on a tangent. The best cars to get are used cars with low mileage. The car I'm driving now, it had less than 7,000 miles on it. It had less than 7,000 miles on the car. So when I got it, boom, and I paid it off. I could have bought it like right away. I had enough money to like just pay it off right there on the spot. Only reason I didn't is I wanted to keep a substantial amount of money into my savings. Even then, I still paid it off in a year. But I was free to do that. And then, you're paying off a car note, period. That's money that can go into other areas to pay off some other bills or go into your savings. Savings, you always have money for an emergency. Like I'll use my medical thing. A lot of that was paid for by money I had in my savings, and I ain't even used all of it. A lot of that was paid for by that. So that's important for emergencies, things of that nature, business, things of that nature. Then you can put it into your savings, which in turn you can put it into income producing assets. But ultimately it's all to become free, financially free. Because a lot of people, they're behind, they in debt for some reason. A lot of people, especially, and ironically, especially like middle class and above, they in debt to get to that lifestyle, you know? They in debt. And then if you poor, boom. And all it takes is one little bump and you're messed up. So I want you to really think about that. Ultimately, that's where you're trying to go, all right? So anyway, that's all I have for now. Y'all know the deal. Let's go make that money.